Yes, yes, everybody, as this is the Clan Eshin Showcase versus the mighty forces of Choking and the Vampire Coast. Now, it's going to be a pretty interesting build for me, at least, since this is the real Clan Eshin build. I'm going to have a front line of Clan Rats. Can't really go without them. Very powerful, well, in terms of holding units up, right? They just kind of die for you, and that's the job they'll do, and the job they do well. I'm going to have some Clan Rat spears on the edges. Don't worry about them. The only reason I have them is just in case my opponent goes with Morn Ghouls, because Morn Ghouls is a very dangerous tactic against Skaven. Anti-infantry, very fear-causing, and if you have the regiment around, terror-causing. So you got to deal with them somehow, and Clan Rats with spears don't have the armor piercing, but they do have the bonus versus large, which will deal well with Morn Ghouls. Now, what happens if my opponent goes with crabs? Now, I do have the Eshin Triads. These are the DLC unit. Eshin Triads are armor piercing. They have the Weeping Blade. They're anti-large, and they have stock, so they can't get shot when they run towards the Vampire Coast, which is really nice. I think they're really good in this matchup, actually. Good against crabs, Morn Ghouls. Really good against any Necrofix Colossi. Like, just really good in this matchup. So you got to bring at least two, which I did, into this area. Now, as a range core, I do have 3 units of Night Runners. You have to have some form of ranged here because you got to throw those rocks against those little gunners, and you need to have some form of way to take advantage of the Weeping Blades. Reducing someone's armor is most taken advantage by ranged abilities and attacks. Now, the Gunner Runner Slingers here are here just in case they have Scurvy Dogs. Now, they have that because the ability called Snare Net reduces speed by 12% and charge speed. So if they can kite Scurvy Dogs a lot better than what the Death Runners are, and that's why I always mix in some Gunner Runners along with my Night Runners, just in case that he goes with a Scurvy Dog play. Now you're wondering, Ducky, where is the rest of your money? I just see a Plague Priest, and that's because all the rest of my money is invested in the Death Runner squad. 3 units of Death Runners, along with, of course, Clan Eshin's representative, Death Master Snitch. He's such a cool guy. He's a ninja rat. Ninja rats are cool, guys. It's a universal thing. Everybody should know that. I do have the Death Squad. So Death Runner, Death Squad versus what? The Depth Guard. My opponent is bringing some hidey-ho forces of some weak guns, 4 units of Death Guard. Now that's going to be an anti-infantry fest. The Gallows Giant, a flamethrower to a rat fest. That's the right play, sir. Along with Count Noctilus. And of course, 4 units of Fellbats along the flanks, just in case I went with a powerful gun line like Warplock Jezzails, Rattling Gunners, all that sort of stuff. So it's at this point my opponent's like, where are your Warplock Jezzails? I don't see Rattling Gunners, and I don't see that new Mortar teams or the Warp Grinder teams. So he's a little confused here. Where is my units? He flies over my Death Runners, and I'm being sneaky. He actually doesn't notice them. So for that small amount of time he could have seen them, he doesn't notice them, and I use my concealment bombs, and back away into the shadows I go. Now I'm kind of feinting here. I'm trying to make his attention go towards this side of the battle map. I want to send some Clan Rats forward. You know, I'm like, hey, I want to attack your range units. They're in the front. It's kind of dangerous, don't you think? I want to push forward and then push back. I'm going to run away from the Gallows Giant because that's a very sensible thing. Gallows Giants are very scary. And I'm going to continue getting my full flank with my Death Runners. Now, Dead Runners are pretty good. 47 speed right now. 54. They must be running up. That's why their speed is reduced. But I am behind his units. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm blobbing up. Look, you're attacking my ranged units with Fellblats. You better move your units forward. You better move your units forward. And he's getting baited. He's getting baited, ladies and gentlemen. And the Fellbats over here are getting dealt with. But, like, you know, it's not like he has any guns to support these bats. But he does have guns to support these bats. And these bats are going to die. And he's getting a lot of value. He has, like, what, 35 kills? Ooh, 53 in one blast. My goodness. My units are going to start to rout, and I'll be like, oh no, I need to deal with this. But he doesn't see. He doesn't see the power of the Death Runners running behind him, and he will be in for one big surprise. Now I'm going to use some rat summons, try to muck him up, make him think of everything except behind him, and this is when my opponent finally notices. I have Death Runners behind in the enemy lines. Now, a little mistake here on my part. I completely thought I could goon out Count Noctilus. I really should not have thought that because Count Noctilus is a monster. He has 75 kills already, and I need to run away, but running away is actually the play here because 3 units of depth guard are here to chase me, and they're not going to catch me unless I let them catch me. So, 3 units of depth guard running away in the back. Do you know what that means? Let's charge the front. I'm going to get my clan rats. I'm going to push into the zombie pirate gunnery mobs. All he has is a gallows giant and 1 unit of depth guard. Now my opponent is not stupid and realizes this, so he's going to get 2 units of depth guard and actually run it back. Make sure I don't completely and utterly destroy his front line. And once I realize that his depth guard are no longer being occupied, I'm going to send my death runners into a 2v1 scenario. My Regiment of Renown and normal death runners versus depth guard. Now they will win that fight at a cost, but they will win. And taking out 1 unit of depth guard is definitely worth it for me. Now I'm going to be setting my clan rats with spears and my swords because I realize the only large units he has are the Colossi, and Eshin Triads should be the ones fighting them. But I am running away here because the depth guard are making it into the flanks, but they're not fast enough to catch him, and I don't believe he's using them in guard mode because he's overcommitting on some of the chases here. I do destroy that unit of depth guard, especially with my regiment around death squad, and I will be making another frontline engagement. He mixes his depth guard along with his zombie pirates to try to screen out and destroy my front line, which will be effective because depth guard are literally almost built to kill Skaven. It is the epitome of anti-Skaven forces right there. But I'll be getting my Eshin Triads into the Gallows Giant, which is what I want to be doing because they're literally the only unit that'll be super effective against Gallows Giants, other than some projectiles, right? So I get some flanks here. I have the depth runners in the backs of these zombie pirate gunnery squads, and you can see here they are just making quick work. Now a zombie summon is going to get into the back, but zombies are just not enough to stop these ninja rats. Along with Deathmaster Snitch. Deathmaster Snitch most definitely has some of the best animations in the game in terms of melee combat. Having a tail sword is also really great. Now Deathmaster Snitch is going to get out of here, and he's going to wobble away from this engagement because he is not needed there, and go straight into another unit of zombie pirate gunnery mob because I need to destroy them. That's the only real powerful ranged unit in terms of like total power, right? I need to get rid of them. They're too cheap. They can get too much value if they continue firing. So the depth guard are going to be running around chasing rats but there's just not enough depth guard per rat. Depth guard need to kill 5 to 1 or 3 to 1 to stop the amount of rats I have. Now an amazing Pit of Shades going off, dealing with 2 clan rats with shields, which is really actually effective because that means I have to use a summon to just muck up those depth guard before they get and can support the Gallows Giant. Now all of a sudden you look at the Gallows Giant, it's like, hey, he only has 25% of his health, maybe a third at most. That's because I've been chucking projectiles into him when his armor has been reduced. With the power of Weeping Blades reducing his armor by around 50, projectiles can do a massive amount of damage to the Gallows Giant, which is really great. Using my Weeping Blades to make it so that my projectiles can actually hurt it. Really great clan Eshin stuff right there. Now he is overcommitting with the chase on some depth guard. These units are already shattered, these Night Runners, so I can just throw some rocks into him, and I believe he's going to realize that and start chasing my Gutter Runner Slingers soon. But he's definitely forgetting about that one, and of course this depth guard over here is also chasing my clan rats. Very, very not cost effective to say the least. Now I did try to send him units to muck up Count Noctilus, but Count Noctilus is a real tank. He's been using the invocations of Nehek to keep him topped off, but because of that, he is going to lose the Gallows Giant as it's fully surrounded, and Mr. Deathmaster Snitch himself has been shanking it. We are wavering. Deathmaster Snitch may not be an anti-large expert, but he has armor piercing, and he reduces the armor itself. And there goes the mighty, mighty Gallows Giant. So we took out the biggest threat in terms of anti-infantry, and these depth guard are going to be kited into oblivion. So that leaves one thing, Count Noctilus himself. And that means I'm sending everybody in, and I mean everybody, except the people that deal with the depth guard, of course. So, Clan Eshin, my Eshin Triads, my sneaky rats. Now I really, really do like the color scheme of Eshin. Let's get the cinematic views. I'm going to use a spell called Bless with Filth, so we can poison Count Noctilus, reduce his damage overall and his speed. And finally, Clan Eshin will strike at Count Noctilus and actually deal damage for a change. My Death Runners, Death Squad, along with many, many rats, can finally start to hurt him because he's been using so much Nehek on him. So much healing. It takes quite a number of rats to actually take him down. Just 10%. It's dangerous. Now the Depth Guard are being dealt with. Another summon of clan rats to hold them up, because the longer I can hold up the Depth Guard, the more they take damage from their crumbling, and the less I really have to deal with them. It's just projectiles thrown in the back of them. It's really how to deal with Depth Guard. They may have a lot of armor, but they have no shield whatsoever, so it kind of balances out. Now, Deathmaster Snitch going into his Duel of Duels. He's assassinating the Count Noctilus himself. It's going to be quite tough, considering all he can do is shank his little stubby legs on what he's standing on and not actually Count Noctilus. And this is what it's going to devolve into. Now, the Depth Guard will be handled by projectiles and kiting. And Count Noctilus will be dealt with by Clan Eshin assassins. Quite a show indeed. It's going to take a little bit, as Count Noctilus is a tanky mofo, and the Depth Guard will crumble and disintegrate away, and all that's left is how many rats? 700 rats versus one explosive boy. And maybe a few of summoned zombies. And now we just got to watch the fireworks show as the sneak of Clan Eshin wins. I'm quite happy with this play. I really feel like I got the Clan Eshin style down, right? Having 3 units of Death Runners behind, along with Deathmaster Snitch, getting the flank, steering the Depth Guard back away, and as I push the front line, I am quite proud of that play, if I don't say so myself. And the balance of power was in my opponent's favor for quite some time. Now another Bless with Filth. Going to reduce him, and he's going to crumble away like the weak undead lord he is. That'll be the end of the battle. Quite happy with that indeed. I just had so much fun. Yeah, Clan Eshin, man. 67 kills on Deathmaster, 121 on Death Runners. Not so much on the others, but they had to deal with Depth Guard, and that's a nightmare. Like 200 kills, 143, 103, only 32 there. You didn't get your value. 235 on Count Noctilus. My goodness, I lost 971 rats. He only had 725 units. Yeah, that's Skaven for you, and that's the Depth Guard for you. Pretty happy. The projectiles did a great job dealing with the Gallows Giant. Still 241 kills. My goodness. And the Eshin Triads really did their job. They lost so much. They died to the Gallows Giant, but they applied the armor piercing, and they applied the Weeping Blade so that my projectiles could actually hurt the thing. But overall, yeah, I hope you guys liked this replay. Leave a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want more. I'll catch you guys later.